what's been going on isn't working. It isn't working, not just that it's not working a little bit, it's not working at all. And in fact, as we find, it is the exact opposite of working.
When you watch this video, it's quite incredible that the media are showing us it. It's coming through the media. And even though in a way they're trying to show you as an attention what's going on, I don't hear any real concern for how bad all of this is for the people, and that this is how they're able to do things like this. We all know who this is, don't we? Most of us have been watching this case. We all then know what the autopsy says, and it says that she has brown eyes. And in the middle of having this drink on her balcony thing, her eyes are blue. So who is that? Because it can't be her. She has brown eyes. So what is going on? Well, this video is going to explain it more.
We're entering an era in which our enemies can make it look like anyone is saying anything at any point in time.
I just wanted to add, who is the enemy here? Because the only enemies I can see is us. Because this is happening to us, being done to us. And so, I know this is just, you'll see what's going to happen in a minute. I'm just saying, when they say things like that, the enemies, who are the enemies? Because it isn't us, and yet we're treated like we are the enemies. And just to explain again, how can somebody whose autopsy says they've got brown eyes be shown to us with blue eyes? You just didn't notice it all the time, but she did. And she had hazel eyes, and she had green eyes, and she had different colour eyes. And this video is going to explain maybe how they did it, because that cannot be her. I cannot believe their own parents didn't notice it.
Even if they would never say those things. So, for instance, they could have me say things like, I don't know, Killmonger was right.
So that may have looked and sounded like former President Barack Obama, but that was actually a fake video. It was voiced by actor and director Jordan Peele, and since that video was released in 2018, what's known as deepfake technology has only improved.
Just when I'd finished, I forgot to put this bit in, and as I'm not sure what any of those videos actually are saying, I can't believe when you see this one here that it looks more like some cartoony thing going on, that we're on national news, and what they're actually showing you is something like this in the background, right? On national news. Doesn't it just show you what they really think about us? If this is what a national news company are doing, is got something like YouTube up or is looking at videos, and one of them looks like that. Come on everybody, they're laughing at us. They're laughing at us.
Making the spread of misinformation so much easier.
This is a dangerous time. Moving forward, we need to be more vigilant with what we trust from the internet. It's a time when we need to rely on trusted news sources.
And now, as we get closer to the 2020 presidential elections, candidates and their teams are struggling to understand the best way to handle the threat of deepfakes. So joining me now, CNET senior producer Dan Patterson. Okay, so we get it. We know deepfakes are these kind of phony videos. First off, if you're on the net, which all of us are, how do you tell the difference, and who's putting these out there?
Rena, this morning I spoke with an expert in artificial intelligence and asked this same question, thinking the scientists will have the answers. There are no answers right now. What we are seeing is the proliferation of technology that was, just a few years ago, incredibly expensive and processor expensive. By that I mean it's not just expensive to buy or own the chips, it means it takes a lot of time and energy for those chips to do their work. Now you can do the same thing with a regular MacBook. So this technology is spreading so...
We get to this bit of this footage, and the chosen words that he uses, And it's exactly the words that I use myself when we see all this stuff. Absolutely incredible. Listen to what he says.
Quickly, and is in the hands of so many different actors that it's hard to tell the difference between a quality deepfake, a bad deepfake, and the real deal.
Did you actually hear what this person who's supposed to be an expert and in his field is telling you? You can't tell the difference between the good, the bad, the real and the fake. Well, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can see it. That's what the Unscrambled channel's been about. But we can see it. But he is telling everybody, but you're not going to know the difference. This goes into people's subconsciouses, all this stuff they're saying. He's telling you, you're not going to notice the difference. Wow. And there's no answers. What is all this? Of course there is.
So, I mean, obviously the big concern is elections coming up, right? If I'm a head of a campaign, how do I counter what could potentially really affect my candidate?
So, the only thing they want to talk about is the politics, not the people. The only thing that they're worried about is that.
Well, we're in conversation with campaigns right now, and the biggest thing that deepfakes cut into with political campaigns, the same thing that fake news cuts into, and that is trust.
Yeah.
They're only worried about not trusting the politics and politicians. Hang on a minute. What about the whole trust that people now don't trust each other because of all this? That it's bred and led and narcissism and the fact that hardly anybody can be nice. Most people are arguing or angry and everybody thinks they know everything when actually they don't know anything. And then they're living their lives like that with the other day I did a little video with the lost inner child and there's all this going on and there's like a program. It's like a program. What is this doing to people? This! And I actually think it's very political. Yes, I do. I think it's being used. This kind of stuff is used. It's telling, you might not realise what it's telling us all, but there's codes and symbols and all sorts of weird things going on. Has to be. She's got blue eyes. She can't have at all. Blue eyes cannot be on a brown-eyed person. And the police, and nobody has noticed this? I would love to send this case into the DA of that case. How could the police miss all these things and the people find it? Though they are alerting us to what's going on with this problem with deepfake, they're not trying to protect us, the people. The only thing that keeps getting mentioned is the politics, the politics, the politics. Them, not us. Where do you hear anything happening nice for the people?
Really, the asset that all candidates try to campaign on is their ability to connect with voters and have them be trusted or have their message be something that is relied on. And what deepfakes do is undermine our faith and confidence in, usually in cyber we talk about institutions, in this case it is personalities.
In that last part of that bit that man just said, he just explained to you the personalities. Well, we were given personalities, weren't we? Now we know everything, what they eat for breakfast, what they have in their sandwiches, what they're taking, where they're going, what they're doing. We know everything, what they did. So, personalities, yeah?
How do you tell the truth from what reality is and what it isn't?
Well, we have some forensic evidence, so we are able to look at the metadata of videos and photos. So if you've ever used an iPhone photo and edited it, in the background you're able to see the date and time it was shot. So we can look at some of that forensic data, but the real challenge here is that a lot of that information is pretty easy to fake as well. You can just open that information, that file, in an editor and fake the metadata as well.
We're supposed to live with all this technology, all this surveillance, all this watching, all this data, you know, the whole thing. We're supposed to live in that with all these rules and all these regulations, and the only win-win is for the fakers. The fakers win all the time. And who's doing the faking? Yeah, right. because it's not the people, it's media and things like that are doing it to us and then telling us it's that news is being read because basically each station is giving its message through the news and trying to tell you something else, because the only thing they're worried about are the politicians, and the trust starts with the people, yeah, and the politicians have to earn respect, and yet we're put into this totally system where we're slaves, where we're force-fed this stuff to make us believe stuff, because how do we get this? And nobody notices except the people.
That's the name given to videos that are manipulated to change their message or even change who's in them. Jonathan Vigliotti looks at a new weapon in the battle against that problem that we've been reporting on since last year.
While some of these videos are designed to entertain, others are raising serious concerns. In this deepfake, Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg appears to be speaking about global domination on CBS News' digital platform, CBSN.
Imagine this for a second. One man with total control of billions of people's stolen data.
Despite CBS asserting trademark infringement and asking Facebook to take the video down, the company has refused, pointing to First Amendment concerns.
Did you hear what was being said there? What was being said is that due to this infringement, Facebook were not going to take that video down, even though it's got that person inciting something, right, which is very political and he shouldn't be doing as he's head of a media outlet that's supposed to be non-biased, and we live under all these rules and regulations by it, and yet this deepfake video is saying this and Facebook won't take it down. Doesn't it just show you what's really going on? Because being a YouTuber or on a channel, we're supposed to live by all these rules and regulations, but it seems to me that actually all these other people are just getting away with what they want because they're big business. What I mean is it's to do with money, to do with corporations, to do with these advertisers who've changed YouTube, and at the moment people aren't even allowed. The whole point about YouTube was to have your platform and to have your say, like standing on a soapbox. Yeah, you don't want swearing and real serious bullying, nasty, horrible stuff, but the people are allowed to say how they feel or what they think. That was the point. But now the advertisers are controlling what we're allowed to say, and we're in the middle of this as well. So where is it for the people? It's not for the people. It's being done to us as a system. That's all I can see, because who would want this? Maybe I understand when people say, I don't want to bring children into this world, into this place. I never felt like that myself, but now I'm here, I kind of understand what they mean. There is never any mention of the people, what it's doing to the people, only that it's bad for the politics. Amazing. When I watched all the stuff about deepfake, all I could really see that the news stations are going, well, it might happen all over the media, but that's not really our concern, is it? Our concern's with the politics. But already it's a political thing, because a lot of it's coming through the big media outlets, and it's deepfake there, and they don't care about us, because if they did, they wouldn't be lying to us and manipulating, editing and doing the things that they do to change things. Well, none of it, all of it is not good for the people. Anyway, let's play the next bit.
20 years ago, we worried about fake content in a court of law, but we didn't really worry about it going live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook.
Hani Farid is a professor of computer science at the University of California, Berkeley.
Hooray for this man! Hooray! We need more of his programs.
We take the video, we track facial expressions and head movements.
He gave us an advanced look at his new software program that compares real videos to supposedly altered ones. He wants to offer it to mainstream media outlets to help detect deepfakes ahead of the upcoming elections.
Just when I was getting a glimmer of a hope then when watching this, then comes the only thing that's actually important is the upcoming elections. What about not doing this to the people at all? so we don't have to worry about it coming up to the upcoming elections. This is horrible, what they're really telling you. We get this instead, and they carry on, and nothing's changing, and the politicians aren't saying anything. They're not dealing with this, and the president should be dealing with this. He should. How can we continue when everybody's lying to us all the time?
Right, we take 190 of those measurements, and then we ask how distinct are they, and can they distinguish from the real from the fake? We will give you the ability to upload the videos, we will run them through our analysis, and then we will tell you what we think.
Well, it's great that you're placing this in the hands of the media, but do you worry that it's ultimately a drop in the bucket when you've got social media?
Of course it's a drop in the bucket. The solution is not just technology. The solution is technology, good reporting, better digital citizens, better companies, better policy.
Whereas I appreciate this supposed bit of video of that lady coming up, and it is horrible when these things happen to individuals, what about the millions that they've done it to through things like this? What about the millions that they're doing it every day? What about the millions who've put their hearts and souls and felt depressed and everything about something? This, and believe a whole thing that is different. So if we're so upset for one individual, what about the millions that it's been done to, and the other programs and the other things they've done?
The Speaker Pelosi video was not funny. It was meant to impugn her and to create chaos within the party.
And it worked.
And it worked.
In a statement, Facebook tells CBS News, leading up to 2020, we know that combating misinformation is one of the most important things we can do. We continue to look at how we can improve our approach and the systems we've built.
You could then have the president say anything
Say
you
and
want.
do anything I want, right? Imagine the implications for fraud. Imagine how this could disrupt our democratic elections. Imagine how it can incite violence.
Hello, America.
For CBS This Morning, Jonathan Vigliotti, Long Beach, California.
Then, as this bit of news is finishing, they go back to the desk where there's other newsreaders and they're talking about it, and then gets mentioned something else put in the mix. Not only do they talk about this is so bad for the elections and the politricks, then comes we might be going to war. But you'll see what they'll use, because the only people who win are the fakers. They're the only ones that win. And even though the media has told us, all they're doing is using deepfake to give us other news, to tell us other things, and to add things to the mix. So imagine, deepfake, wars, our politics, our president, our prime minister, oh my goodness. Golly. And that's if you just watch this bit of news, let alone the next bit of news they're going to tell you.
As Adam Schiff pointed out, there's some real nightmare scenarios here.
Yeah, we're at a moment where we're thinking about a conflict with Iran. Yep. What if something surfaced in that? It's a match into a powder keg.
It's a slippery slope, and you've reported on this before.
Yeah, back last year, and I keep thinking, even if there is corrective technology, a lie can travel around the world before the truth gets out of bed.
So yeah, exactly. So fast.
But before you can spot deepfakes, you have to make them. That takes place at the University of Colorado in Denver, where researchers working on DARPA's program are trying to create convincing deepfake videos. So what are we seeing right here? I mean, to me, this looks like a real guy. Is this what this guy looks like? He's one of your colleagues?
This is actually my face swapped onto his face. So this is a deep fake of me and my student Reed.
I mean, he's speaking here. Is that your voice or is his voice?
This is his voice. We take a video of a person and video of another person, train data against those videos. In this case, a video of Reed is the destination, and I have swapped my face onto Reed's head. So everything else is the same. It's Reed's voice, it's Reed's body, it's Reed's head, but it's my face. What has changed between these two videos is a square area that goes from the eyebrows to just below the mouth.
So this is a deepfake?
This is a deepfake.
1,000 miles west of Denver, a team at SRI International in California is developing the crucial second component to DARPA's program, how to spot a deepfake. So this is a deepfake that was produced by some researchers in Denver.
Right.
Would you mind pointing out which is the real guy and which is the fake?
The original video is on the far left. The source of the new face to be inserted is in the middle, and the deepfake is on the right.
Hooray! Here, they're showing you at long last that there are people that can put things into place. So there is hope, there is answers, there is other ways. These people can encode it into Facebook and all these other things, and then when people make videos, then it would flag. These YouTube and Facebook, they should have the same technology. The amount of rules and regulations that we're put under, when under their noses all this is going on and they are promoting it. It's unbelievable, really it is, when you actually realise what's going on, everybody. Anyway. To the next bit of video. In this piece of video, these people are explaining, again, the same sort of thing, and how better to map the faces out. And it's called neural mapping. It's how to get rid of these edges and things. But what it is computers have been trained to accept this. And now they've got to train the computers to not accept this.
We have a lot of work to do, but I think that just like when you upload something to Facebook now, it does a re-encoding of the whole video for Facebook. That process will include a check for deepfakes. I'm concerned that some of the tools for making better and better deepfakes are being improved as we speak, and that, you know, some organization or person could make something that would fool us.
Hooray! Did you hear that? Did you hear that? These people, if these people are all real, they're saying that this needs to be done because it's disgusting, without saying those words. Like, but on to the next bit, because the next bit, guess what? This channel here, I mean, one's the business, one isn't. Yeah, anyway, the next bit, we're back to politics.
With 2020 fast approaching, Congress is tackling the issue of deepfakes. Lawmakers on the House Intelligence Committee held a hearing Thursday. They heard from experts on the threat that altered videos could pose to national security and the U.S. election system.
Wow, that Mona Lisa definitely reminded me of this case, when the same thing that's happening in that picture, those fake ones, what's happening to her, is happening when we're watching the videos of this and other cases. Not just this case, other cases, it's the same.
The committee says its goal is to consider how to detect and combat this growing trend. This comes amid mounting concerns that manipulated content could be the latest weapon in disinformation campaigns.
What enables deepfakes and other modes of disinformation to become truly pernicious is the ubiquity of social media and the velocity at which false information can spread. We got a preview of what that might look like recently when a doctored video of Speaker Nancy Pelosi went viral on Facebook, receiving millions of views in the span of 48 hours.
It's really great that this Congress guy is going to explain what he thinks. But it seems really strange to me when he's actually the law, or through the law, or on behalf of the law, and talking through the law, and this thing that they're supposed to be in charge of, yeah, is just saying these words as if there's nothing they can do, even though it's mentioned. How can you allow the business and these companies to do it without changing the law? But they're not going to. Why? Because the people who are really in charge are the big businesses, the money.
That video was not an AI-assisted deepfake, but rather a crude manual manipulation that some have called a cheap fake. Nonetheless, the video's virality on social media demonstrates the scale of the challenge we face and the responsibilities that social media companies must confront.
So what it is he's telling the businesses to take responsibility. That's it. And they're not going to, are they? And the fakers win. Because the fakers are the ones that win. Because there's nothing they can do about the fakers. So this is just incredible. They sit there telling you, well, actually, the people who are really in charge are the big businesses and the fakers. This is just unbelievable that right in front of you, in a system that we believe in, they're doing all this in front of you. Just playing out some kind of game, because it's got to be. Because if you really listen to what they're telling you, oh, businesses, take responsibility. It's only going to change if you change the laws and live by the laws that you change. But they don't, do they? And they won't, will they?
Deepfakes are kind of the video version of fake news. They are fake content that use real content and manipulate that to say and do things that the subject never said or did. For example, they will take video of you, of me, of Nancy Pelosi, of Mark Zuckerberg, and overlay that with audio or images that have been manipulated using artificial intelligence to come to conclusions that the, let's say, hacker or the creator of the deepfake video to fit particular ends.
And CBSN actually saw firsthand how easily content can be manipulated after a couple of artists altered a video of Mark Zuckerberg. Talk to us about that.
That's right, Elaine. We should point out that there is a full story on cbsnews.com with the particulars here. But at the end of the day, what is important is that our brand at CBSN and CBS News is based on accuracy. And this was a fake video, was propagated using the CBS News and CBSN brands and marks. So we asked Facebook to consider, and Instagram to consider taking these videos down. And we do have statements from them. They said that we take intellectual property rights very seriously, and we've responded to CBS directly on the issue. At this time, the video remains subject to our standard process. That's from a Facebook spokesperson. They're not taking the video down. Instagram also said, but Facebook will put a little note under it that says this is a false video or that this is fake. Instagram, on the other hand, will not put that notice, and they said that we treat this content the same way that we treat all misinformation on Instagram. If third-party fact checkers mark it as false, we will filter it from Instagram's recommendation services like Explore and hashtag pages. That's from a spokesperson at Instagram. So we can see the challenge that social media platforms have when they are optimized. These social media companies are built for speed, for content to spread very quickly. When you have bad actors manipulate content, it is very easy, as we heard in the opening statements from Congressman Schiff, for content to spread virally.
Well, so experts talked about this during the hearing, but what are some examples of how deepfakes can actually be harmful or dangerous?
Well, to business, think about a stock price, right? So if you have a video of, say, a CEO of a public company that purports to say something that could adversely affect the stock price, you could see huge economic impact. In politics, of course, you could certainly see how this is a pretty effective weapon in similar ways that fake news is an effective weapon. And when I speak to people in both the artificial intelligence communities in Silicon Valley and the cybersecurity communities, what they tell me is that the big concern is not necessarily that Russia or China will launch a full-out attack. That is certainly possible, but it is that this technology is so affordable and it is so easy to use now that anyone, an activist, a political campaign, up ticket or down ticket, could deploy this technology against their enemy. So although we look at, or their opposition, although we look at the top of the ticket and the big presidential race, really it's those down ticket races, those local races that could be utilizing deep fake content in ways that we might never see or notice until it's too late.
Just when, for a moment then, I thought he was going to give some good information, which he sort of was. It then turned into, you know, when you get one of these letters and you're really hoping that someone's listening to you with what you're saying. And it starts off by going, I'm really, really sorry that you feel like this. And I'm sorry about that. And just when you think they've understood or taken notice that you're a real person, the next line comes, well, I can't do anything about it and I can't help you. Because what it is, after telling you how they're going to do it, they bring in, oh, and on top of it now, we're going to war again. Oh my goodness. So the lead up, so you're listening to all that, and then comes, oh my goodness. So what are they telling us in advance? These videos were taken in June, all of them, so they were actually putting it all out in June. I'm not saying they weren't doing it other times, but really crazy when I was looking at my deepfakes. Then this, how they did it, what the news was saying. This is where I saw these, and they were all the same time. They were June of this year. So that's when they told us all this. So, isn't the most important thing whether it is important for all the things that he's saying? The most important thing is it's being done to the people. And some people are going to really believe it. And then, oh, but all we've got to do is make the businesses responsible. Well, it's not happening, is it? And it's not working.
We say Noah's Ark, but really, it's the knowers, as in knowledge. And this is what we need to do. We need to build our temple up to acquire a certain level of knowledge and perception, and then go within that, find perfect balance, restore ourselves, thus restoring the world. And this is what we plan to do.
And I'm really tired of it, because it is time to do something about this.
I mean, Charlie, there's enough information if you want to see it. There's enough information now if you want to wake up.
Karen, that's so true. That's so well spoken, and it's so true. What's been going on isn't working. It isn't working, not just that it's not working a little bit, it's not working at all. And in fact, as we find, it is the exact opposite of working.
Charlie is talking about us, the people. When we get to this next bit here, they're not talking about us. They're only talking about the upcoming elections. It's not just about an upcoming election, whether we've got these problem videos. It's about forever. It's about the future. It's not just about politics and all that. It's about a way forward for the people, for the future. Anyway, that's what I think. I don't know about you.
So with all of that in mind, what are experts saying about the most effective strategy to combat deepfakes, especially ahead of the 2020 election?
When I speak to experts about this, they often pause and think for a moment. So what that tells me is that there is not an instant solution to this. That doesn't mean that there isn't a solution.
Yes, there is, because this guy has already explained it to us. Yes, you have, because this man's told you that there's programs. Maybe it needs a little bit more fine-tuning and stuff, but they can put programs into the computers to detect. If all these other things have been put in there to go against us and lie to us, why would you go against something that might help the people? Because you wouldn't be able to do it, and it has to be separate from these businesses because they get too much control. I think that's what's happened. You know, I don't know if I believe in that anymore, but if you believe in what we thought was being regulated, then that's what should happen to these media things. But nobody can help you. The police can't help you. No one seems to be able to help you. You can't seem to get through to them. There's nothing you can write to them. You can't ring them. You can't nothing. And then they make all the rules and regulations. And I know we're using their platform, but they don't mind all the rest of the fakers on there. And actually the fakers seem to win, as I've already said.
But that means that technical experts don't have a ready solution. And they tell me things like, Elaine, let's all slow down before we click and share things. Now that is fantastic advice. We should probably all do that, but that is not a solution to this content that is evolving very quickly. So right now, I don't know what the solution is, but we'll keep looking at this.
I mean, do we know what the lasting effects are of the deepfakes and disinformation?
Of course there's nothing you can do, because that's what you want. Because we already explained that people have got programs that could sort this out. and sort it out quite quickly, you know. But it's not happening, is it? And there's always going to be, well, there's no way forward. We'll keep monitoring it. There's nothing we can do. But there really, really is. And in front of us, they're half giving us the truth and then telling us what they're going to do anyway. And, you know, the media are like, I never thought that something that should be reporting the truth would be doing this to us. Just listen to what they're saying and how many things they've added. And you see how I've broken it down. I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm seeing something different to what you think you're getting from them. So they're using the faker stuff just to get another message out, as well as not even sorting out the original one and trying to make them responsible. Well, it's not happening, because the only people that are sort of getting stronger and stronger are places like YouTube, Facebook. So much so, the guy can go on and he can use his face to make political statements, and actually you're not allowed to take it down. So we do that kind of thing, you know, like this video probably won't be liked. So it's okay for everybody else to do it, but not anyway. You get my drift. Anyway, I could go on and on. It's just so disappointing. Not just that, if it ever came to light, just imagine what they wouldn't be able to get past us in the media. Just imagine what would come out. Just imagine it all. And, you know, yeah, it'd be brilliant, wouldn't it?
Misinformation campaigns?
Well, we do have an indication of that when we looked at studies that happened after the 2016 election, and when we look at the Mueller report itself, we see that the intent of the Russian hackers was to undermine American faith and confidence in our institutions, not just in government, but other institutions.
Do you see what they've done? Now he's now in a minute gonna turn it all around and make all these other people responsible. You know, well, maybe it has to be a world law, and it has, you know, but anyway, it's happening in our own countries, it's happening to us by our own countries. It's ridiculous. Oh, we've got to blame someone else. Got to bring more into the mix and make it more frightening.
And the effect of deepfake videos could be exponentially stronger or greater than what we see with just.
And this place that's going to say this statement, even though they're only a reader, look what is around them. Televisions and editing studios and whatever it is, you know, technology. I mean, do we have all these kind of things, and a mixing studio and an editing studio and all the technology and the programs, as it's cheap if we can get it on our Mac now. Imagine what they can get hold of. Imagine what these people, and she's telling you this via watching all this in the background, and people won't even batter an eyelid.
Tech stories or social media misinformation.
Wow, it's just another example of technology really kind of skyrocketing to a point where we just don't know what the unintended consequences could be.
But she isn't talking about us. She's talking about the upcoming elections. And this county where this happened gets mentioned a few times. So maybe that gives you some idea who's